Hi, and welcome to this little tutorial on how to sort Google Form responses by class period. So we often use Google Forms as a way to create quizzes or other question type assignments for our classes. And especially at the middle school and secondary levels, we might be giving that same Google form to multiple periods or multiple class cohorts. So when we try to look at the responses, they can all be either jumbled up or it can be hard to wade through the responses that we get back. So what I'm going to show you is how to use Google Sheets in order to separate out those responses by class period. So I've created a quick quiz that I might give to my periods. I work with an ELA teacher who teaches the same period 5 times during the day, the same class. So she might get 100 students' responses all in one form. So she needs a way to look at the different periods and just separate those out. So I've gotten some fake responses here. These are not real students. And normally what we do is we create a Google spreadsheet in order to see the responses. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that and make my Google spreadsheet. And all the responses come to me in one big long list. Now, my list is short, but when you have 100 or more students here, that can be a lot to wade through. So what I want to do next, I can need to move the controls out of the way. So it's all going to come in under a tab called Form Responses 1, right? That's normally when you create the response tab, what it looks like. So you'll notice I have here students from different periods. So if I want to separate them out into the different periods, first what I do is I go to Add Sheet and I create a new sheet. And then I normally label this if I have a period 1 class. So I label that one period 1. I'm going to make the first class and put everything I need into that. And then I'll copy that and duplicate this tab later. And that saves me from having to do all the formulas and everything multiple times. I can do them once and then I can go in and make small little changes, and that makes it much easier. All right. So after I create my next tab for period 1, I want to put all the students from period 1, I want their responses to come into this tab. So I've made a cheat sheet that I will link to below with all of the different things that I do with these Google Sheets. And I have made up the formula that we need to use. This is a query formula. I have the formula that you can copy and paste from here, and I'll show you how to change this to make it do what you want to do. And then I put a little cheat sheet to show you what each of these little pieces are supposed to be, and I'm kind of giving an explanation on that. So if you need to refer back to this and follow along, you can do that as well. So I'm going to copy this formula. So I'm going to copy it. Let me do it this way. Copy. And then I'm going to take it back to my sheet. And in the first A1 box, I'm going to just paste that formula. Now you'll notice it comes back because my formula up here is just a sample, and it's kind of all set up for a different class, so the things that are showing up don't quite make sense yet. Another thing I might do is I might choose the whole thing and go to text wrapping and change my text wrapping so I can see the different, so see what these are saying. Now you notice these are all out of order. It doesn't have the information. So what is in my query formula up here is, first of all, I'm telling it where to get the information from. So this form response one, that's the tab down here, the name of the tab down here that I want it to get the information from. And then this is just set to say pretty much all the cells in that form response tab. The select, this is the important part, because here I'm selecting which columns in the form response I actually want it to get information from. Now, I don't really need the timestamp for my period. So I want the information from column B, column C, column D, all the way through H, right? So H is the last one that I want information from. So here, after where it says select, I'm going to select from, and I'm just going to change these that I want from B, I want from C, from D, E, F, G, and H. That's where I want the information from. Notice when I did that, now this first row changes to the same headers that are up here. It will automatically tell me what was in B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Up in this first row. Notice I don't have any students that came into this. That's because I need in my where here, I need to tell it which column the actual period answer came into, right? And this is very important when you make your form. You need to have a column for your period. You know, some teachers will just put the number 1, 2, 3. I like to put period 1 so it's clear for the students what they're being asked. So you notice the ELA period is here in column D. So in my formula, I need to make sure that it's looking for D. And once I do that, it'll bring all the students from period 1 into this sheet, right? And leave out all the rest. So let's just look at the rest of this string. So the select tells me which columns to bring information in from. The where tells me where to look for the period number. After that, I have in these little parentheses, little apostrophes, that's where I tell it what I put in that choice. What is the choice that they can make? So here it says period 1. So if it says period 1 in this column, then it knows to bring that information into this tab. Now, I also have another feature in this formula. I like to organize these sheets by the students' last names because that's how it appears in our grade book. So I like to have it order by the student's last name, so when I'm putting in grades or looking at it, I can just go right down the grade book and find the students easily instead of kind of hunting all over. So I need to go back to my form response, and I notice here the last name is in column C, right? Column C in this is where the last names are. So I want it to organize this by column C alphabetically. So if I change that to C, then you'll notice now it's going to put all of my students alphabetically by last name. So then it's easier for me to find them, like I say, in the grade book. All right, so now I have my period one all set up. All the students from period one are coming into this sheet. Right? Now, what I want to do is now I need to set up my other 5 or 4 classes. So I'm going to use the duplicate function here, right? I'm going to duplicate, and I just simply duplicate this 4 times. Notice down at the bottom it says copy of, copy of, copy of, right? That's fine. Then I go back to the first copy. By double clicking on this, I can change the name of this to period 3, because we don't have period 2 with this teacher. So I have period 3 is my next class. I'm going to change this to period 3. Then I'm just going to go into my formula, which is by clicking on the first box, you get the formula. And I just need to change the period number here to 3. Everything else stays the same. But now notice that it brings all of my period 3 students into this one. And again, it's ordering it by their last name automatically. And then I just continue that with the different periods. We have a period 4. So we change the name of the sheet. I go to the formula and I just change this to 4. And now I have period 4 students. We then have a period 7 later in the day. Go in. I change it to period 7. Okay. And it brings my period 7 student in. And period 8. And then I have my period 8 students. All right. Now I have all the responses, and I can just simply go to the period that I want to look for and see the responses. And the nice thing about this is, as students, you can set this up before students even respond. And as students respond, these sheets will auto-populate. It'll automatically, you'll start seeing them pop in. All right. One other thing that I want to kind of show you is that sometimes I like to manipulate the order that I see the information in. So let's just for say I wanted to tell me the period number first and then tell me the first and last name. All I need to do in my select, here in the select bar, I can put these in the order that I want them to come into this sheet. So if I want in this sheet for it to tell me the period first, that is D, right? That information is in column D in the other sheet. So I would just take this out, put D in front with a comma in between, enter. And now notice on this sheet only, it'll tell me the ELA period, then the first name, then the last name. This is kind of useful. I use it a lot when we have a quiz that is scored. In the automatic response, that score might be in a different spot. Sometimes it's down here at the end of the sheet. And I want it to be over here by the kid's last name so that I can go into my grade book and put it easily in. I don't have to hunt around for where the score is. So you can change the order and have it put the score next to the name. All right, I hope that was helpful, and I'll have more of these tutorials on how to do some other fun stuff with the Google Sheet responses.